When reviewing the conversation with Dr. Johnson about the campus improvement plan, it gave me great insight to how she's gone about her thought process for the past 2.5 years, I guess 1.5 years, regarding how she presents it to the staff, how we're going to move forward as a campus, and how she even made the decisions in the first place to keep what was already there or change some things up to make it more meaningful and impactful to what's going on our campus at the time. The Dr. Johnson came in with a large charge whenever she began as the principal at Castleman Creek Elementary. She was taking the place of a principal who was removed by the superintendent because of unrest on the campus. Many of the campus members had gone to him upset about the culture of the campus, the climate, the community feel, and were saying they were not supported, that they did not feel that the principal was listening to them and that they were being heard. So at that time, they used a campus culture climate survey to determine that the principal in the position at the time was not the best principal fitted for the spot, and opened it up for Miss Johnson to be able to, Dr. Johnson, to come in and take the position. When Dr. Johnson came in, she started with a whole new leadership team. She was a brand new principal. Her assistant principal was a first year AP that she chose after the other one left to go to another district. The campus instructional specialists or coaches were both brand new, myself being one of them. Our behavior coach was also brand new, and that was a new position that there was some unrest from the previous behavior coach on campus, so there was a lot of weight put into this behavior coach coming in and changing some things because of how people were feeling. The only person on the leadership team that stayed the same was the counselor, who was there for 2 years prior to Dr. Johnson starting. So Dr. Johnson started with pretty much nothing, and at the point of what was going on, the campus really could only go up from there, or the campus climate could really only go up from there, because of how everybody was feeling, what they were saying, what they were expressing to the superintendent. They really felt like Dr. Johnson had the personality to come in and change the face of the climate. And that is what she has spent the past 1.5 years really working on. We're almost at the end of year 2, and she referenced it in our conversation that the climate has seemed to have gotten under control. We have worked really hard on doing some PD with vertical housing, that we are working on PD that fits more of the needs of what the people needed at the time, and that was more of a community building aspect. It was more of how to work with kids and build relationships. It was how to promote brotherhood among the campus members, how to have fun with each other, how to enjoy each other, what are learning from each other's strengths and weaknesses. And the vertical idea was to put a person from each grade level onto a team with other people from different grade levels. So we made 6 houses. Each house represented one person from each different team on campus. And that has gone really well because it has kind of forced people to work together that normally wouldn't see each other. The upper grades, 3rd and 4th, don't spend any time with pre-K and kindergarten. And this kind of gives them that chance to be spending some time with some different people, learning from some different strengths, learning from different teams, how different teams function, and how they can bring that back to their team. It's been really helpful throughout the year. So our PDs that we've been working on have focused on coming together and spending that time together. We worked on some growth mindset, as Dr. Johnson referenced in the CIP. We worked on some poverty training with with one of our staff members that experienced that as a child and what that can look like in your classroom. We worked on building brotherhood activities that promoted a little bit of competition, that promoted togetherness, working together. What do you notice about when you work with other people? Just provided a lot of really good conversation and reflective pieces that people needed to think about. We also talked about some relationship building aspects with students, like what are some things you can take back to your classroom to use, and that is something we do once a month. So we're at the point now where we want to keep the vertical houses. We want to keep them the same because it's been really good that these people have come together and been really bonded and worked well together. But next year, we want to move the focus to an instructional focus and maybe spend some more of our time in the PD being intentional about the practices we need to work on campus. So right now, we have different teachers leading some different PDs after school. If they offer it, we promote it throughout the campus. We've had some, second grade is going to offer a PD on using Google Forms for assessment. We have a couple of others that have done them on different small group strategies and things to use in your classroom. But at that point, it's people are choosing whether or not to go to those. Next year, it will be more of, we are going to do instructional PD for our faculty meetings, and that's what's going to be expected of everybody. So everybody will be involved in doing those instead of the people that just choose that they want to. So I found it really interesting when Dr. Johnson was talking about how she attacked the CIP coming in as a new principal, and it was that she took the previous CIP and didn't completely rewrite the entire thing, but took out a lot of the wordiness, took out a lot of the specific things that were written in there that our campus had either already accomplished or weren't really doing anymore, or wasn't necessarily a fun practice that the campus liked doing in the first place. So she did take a lot of that out, but didn't really add a lot of her own thoughts on it for the first year. She did spend more time this past year taking more things out and adding some other stuff in so that it addressed more of her vision on the campus. And I think that that was something she mentioned in the conversation, focusing the CIP on her vision and what she wanted for our campus. But she's still working on getting people to buy into what the vision is. And in doing so, she has to give more information out there about what the CIP is and make it more of a working, living document that our whole campus functions off of instead of just our leadership team or our teacher leaders. She mentioned that as well, that our leadership team and teacher leaders had a vital role in looking at it and making some changes or saying, yes, we're doing these things right, or no, we're not. But that doesn't mean that the everyday teacher knows what's going on. So they're told and filled in from their teacher leader on their campus, but they may not know exactly what it all means, what the goals are, and how it needs to be addressed. So I think that the direction Dr. Johnson wants to head is that they do move in more of that direction where the whole campus knows of what's going on and how this campus improvement plan is aligned to our vision. I think that's one of the biggest things that she is really starting to work on, is really figuring out who on campus does fit with our vision, who doesn't fit, and maybe just needs to find a place that is more fitting to what they believe and what they want out of a school. So she does that through personal conversations with each teacher, where she finds out where their heart is, where they want to go in the future, and how they can be a vital role on our campus. One thing that Dr. Johnson is very big on is that everybody on campus is participating. Everybody's doing something, that you're not just here to teach. You don't just show up to teach, but that you play a role in making our campus better for all of our kids. And that's what a lot of our teachers don't think about when they think about the CIP, is that the CIP is written with the child in mind. Sometimes we just think of it as the things we have to write down so that our we're fulfilling, state requirements by putting our title funds in there or putting in all the stuff that we need to have in there. But we really do write it with the child in mind, that it really is written with the goals of what will best fit our student population, what our students need. And a lot of times we don't think of it that way. And until we start thinking of it that way, we won't think of it as a living, breathing document. but more as just a piece of paper of the stuff that we have to fill out. And I feel like right now that's where our campus is, but Dr. Johnson doesn't want us to stay there. She wants it to be more of something that people understand, people use, people reference when making decisions in their classroom, or even her giving more of a reason why she makes the decisions that she makes. I thought it was very interesting when she talked about the title funds, that she spends about 75% of our title funds on people rather than stuff, resources, professional development, that kind of thing. Because there's a lot of times when teachers come to us and say, hey, we really need more, since we are a one-to-one iPad district, they come to us and say, hey, I really want a program my kids can get on that would be good for building math skills or good for building reading skills. And she says, well, we don't have any money for that. We have all this title funds, but instead she firmly believes in using that money to pay for more people and more hands on your campus rather than paying for more stuff for them to use. So as a principal, that's a decision you have to make, and sometimes I'll be honest, I go back and forth with making that decision, because I think about, well, are the people that we're paying, are they really making that much of an impact? Or are we using them in places where they could really be used better? I feel like if we are spending that much money on a person, then they better be making some kind of impact that can justify why we're going to keep paying for them. Or would it be better for us to spend some of the money on some kind of computer-based program or supplemental materials or manipulatives that teachers will be using in the classroom, because they are highly qualified and highly trained on how to do those things. So that's an internal struggle that I have and that I need to keep working on and really seeing, and I will continue to talk to Dr. Johnson about that, evaluating whether or not we feel like the people really are making that much of a difference. Or is there a different direction that we need to look at? And, adding more professional development could be something we need to do with our money. Dr. Johnson mentioned that as well. We haven't done a lot of outside professional development or bringing in new people. This year we spent a lot of time really using our staff's talents and showing those off, and showing that we have some expert teachers on campus that can really teach everybody some new things. But it could be good for us to look at some outside professional development, some new ideas on how to hit our STAR deficits. Because even though we are considered a high-performing campus in a high-performing district, like Dr. Johnson mentioned, we are usually at the bottom of the 6 of the elementary campuses. When the district that I came from previously, if I told them, or the campus I came from, if I told them the scores that we were making and saying that was considered to be inefficient and not correct, they would not be so pleased with hearing that, because they are struggling to pass and they're struggling to barely hit the mark. Where we're hitting all of our domains very well. We have an over 85% passing rate in math and reading. We're over between 70 and 75 in writing. We show growth. We hit the college readiness area. We're just low for our district. And when we're compared to schools that are passing with the 95% or 90%, then that does make us look kind of bad. But it's hard to think of that in the grand scheme of things when you've come from a campus that is struggling to barely hit the 50 or 60% mark. But we have to use that data to support what we are using our title funds for, or our goals in the campus improvement plan. And Dr. Johnson definitely hit on that our STAR, while STAR doesn't run everything, it runs a lot. And those scores really do need to be reflected in the CIP of how we're addressing them and how we're going to move with them forward in the future, to decide if we need to change any kind of our goals or our strategies, and what else we can do with the funds that we have through title, or the people we have on campus, how we can allot them in different ways to really hit our goals that are based on the STAR scores. So altogether, I did learn a lot from Dr. Johnson and her thought process. I have been fortunate to work with her from the beginning, so I have spent quite a bit of time on the CIP with her and writing it with her and discussing, what we need to put where we're getting resources from, if this is an obtainable goal, how we can make it happen, what does it look like in the classroom. I've been very fortunate that she's allowed me to be a part of that, and will continue to allow me to be a part of that. But I am learning a lot from her as we think of things differently. I do need to be more like her in the visionary process. I'm more of a what are we doing right now? What can we do to fix this right now, instead of where are we going to be in the next 2 years? And that's definitely something that I'm learning from her, and how to use that in the CIP, how to use that with discussions with teachers, and how to move forward from there. It's been a great process in talking with her about those things, because she has been able to open my eyes to a lot more that I haven't thought about. So I hope that relationship continues, and we will be able to keep talking about those things in the future.